$946 million was to brick and mortar charter schools, of which 71% did not make AYP. $366 million cyber charter schools, none of which met AYP, and $200 million diverted by EITC program to support unaccountable private and religious schools.
Interesting. Thank you. Under education and planning, the student report, the students will be back in September. They're still on summer vacation. Enrollment report, Mr. Paremka. We have a handout there for Mr. Paremka. Do you have any comments?
The only comment that I would make is when you look, the one thing I would want you to look at is the Latrobe Elementary School enrollment. It is up 18 students from last month. Last month we talked about our kindergartens and we were watching our kindergartens. Of those 18 students that enrolled last month, 14 of them were in kindergarten at LES. So it did increase their class size from 18 to 20 per section. The good news is LES is where we have the most kindergarten teachers. We have 5 kindergarten teachers at LES. So just to keep the board aware of what's going on, they had the highest enrollment jump and in kindergarten, but we're still in an area where we feel comfortable moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Just
Educational programs, Dr. Tucker.
Yes, I'm happy to say that we began our professional development flex shops at the beginning of August, and we had over 250 teachers actually participate and sign up in the flex shops for the professional development. Our elementary focus is on Google applications, our junior high focus is on the Promethean board training, and our senior high focus is on utilizing the Performance Plus system to begin with the curriculum mapping. So it's been quite successful. We're off to a great start, and we're looking forward to continuing it throughout the year.
Also, on the Promethean boards, we did that tour that morning, and it was amazing. We were there for about Saturday, letting them instruction, and it was kind of cool to watch it, and they could do all that stuff. So
Yes.
it was very great.
Students love it too.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Who
Dr.
was the instructor? Was from the factory? From the company?
Yes, well, he's actually from Springboard Media as the company.
That guy that we went in that day was doing a real good job. Real
Yeah.
good.
Thank you, Dr.
Special education result focus monitoring, Dr. Soltis.
I need to inform the board that we were monitored, our special education department was monitored in April 2013. The transition is what special education does to prepare students who are 14 and older as they embark on their life after high school. We have a criteria that we need to follow, but the review process begins by a letter that's received by the district, and we have plenty of time and notice. The first thing that the department does is prepare what's called a facilitated self-assessment, and as we go through that process, we look at our program, we look at our assessments that we use to assess students' transition skills, we look at IEPs, whether or not we involve outside agencies, and then at the end of every student's high school career, there's something called a summary of academic and functional performance, every special education student's high school career. When we complete that facilitated self-assessment is reviewed by the state monitor that is assigned to our district. As part of our internal process, every secondary special education teacher came and reviewed every one of the files on their caseload to make sure that every document was present and everything had been done appropriately. The facilitated self-assessment was found to be in compliance, and the file review found that 37 of 43 areas were in complete compliance. And those areas that were not, we had one file that did not have an invitation appropriately implemented. One file did not have a student participate in the IEP process, or the invitation to participate wasn't in the file. One IEP did not indicate when periodic reports of progress would be provided to parents. And then 2 files had something called a notice of recommended educational placement that were out of date. They had been written while the student was in maybe 3rd grade, and the notice of recommended educational placement had been changed over the years, and it was never updated. Overall, I'd love everything to be perfect. However, that rarely happens. In meeting with my monitor, he felt that the errors in what he saw were minor. The training that needs to be provided to our teachers and special education teachers can be done by providing them with documents to review, and it looks like it will be expunged in a very quick way. So, that's my report to you on that particular experience.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Soltis? Do we need to vote to accept that next week? Should that be an agenda item?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Soltis. The ECAT Academy Memorandum of Understanding between GLSD and GLEA for the 2013-2014 school year, I understand is the same as what we adopted last year. Do you wish to comment on it?
It is an annual agenda item outlining the responsibilities and roles for any teacher and any student who actually enrolls in ECAT Academy as an online course.
Okay. That will be an agenda item for next week for your approval. The new story agreement revision, you also have a handout on that. Is that you, Dr. Soltis? Do you want to comment on that?
New story.
Oh, yes, there is a handout. And what I would say about this particular agreement is rarely do I have an agency submit a new agreement that is reducing their costs, but they got feedback from their contractees saying that they couldn't sign the contract as it was, so we are getting a reduction.
Good news. Thank you. Also on your agenda for next week will be the approval of 2 dietetic interns from Seton Hill who are going to work with Ms. Jillian Malloy, our food service director. Their names are Shannon Powell and Lindsay Hostetler, and they will be here for the fall semester, and that needs your approval next week. And the next curriculum committee meeting will be on the 17th of September at 5:30 in the CSC, and you're all welcome to attend. Anything else to come under education and planning? Okay, I will turn it over to finance with Mrs. Elf.
Thank you. Next week on the agenda, we will have our usual treasurer's report and payment of bills. And there's an acceptance of grants. And, it's quite remarkable, I think, that McFeely Rogers Foundation continues to make the cultural life, the educational experience of our students better just over the years. I remember years ago when I wasn't even on the school board yet, hearing about this, and here it is again. More money is coming from them, and literally we can't thank them enough. They're just remarkable. And then we have the budgetary transfers, which are a handout. You can look at them. That's the year end. And the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting last week is also a handout. And the next Finance Committee meeting will be on Wednesday, September 4th. Wow, 2 days after Labor Day, at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. And we will go to property and supply with Mrs. Kozar.
Thank you. We'll have an agenda item, opening and award bids for the winter sports equipment. The minutes from our previous property and supply meeting, which was August 8th, are in the handout. We discussed everything that was there. And our next committee meeting is September at 3:30.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Kozar. Student activities and recreation, Dr. Laughlin.
Mr. Mears wants to give us a brief summary of the day.
Yeah, as you're all aware now, Steeler Day was moved last Monday to St. Vincent. It actually went very well over there. We moved it all within 2 days between Ken and me and the grounds crew. They still had, and they're emphatic that they will return to Latrobe Stadium next year. In fact, Mr. Rooney had personally talked to Mrs. Swigert and I on the sideline. I don't know, obviously the grass had some disease that we treated. Mr. Millslick knows the exact name of the disease. The bottom line is, if you look at our field, it's great for high school football. It's really nice. But for the NFL, with the spots that were treated, they were worried if they didn't hold, that something happened to one of their players' knees or ankles, so they made a decision, let's just move it. And we actually moved it in 2 days' time. The day was nice. The football team was still there. You know, they came down through our football team, the cheerleaders were still there in their outfits, all the administrators were still there. We were in the press box doing the 50-50 over there. The band still played over there. We took our stage over there. It was still like a Latrobe look to it. And the Steelers reached out and helped us, and we helped them, and it actually went the fireworks and the band, and they very, very smoothly. And they met with us, and there'll be more to come, of course, from the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they wanted us to let you know emphatically that they will be back at Memorial Stadium next year, first Friday home.
Thank you. That's all. Good job on such a short notice. Wow.
That was pretty quick.
I'll say. Community Relations, Dr. Zorch.
The Latrobe Community Park and Recreation meeting minutes are in the handout. And on the agenda, we have a mutual memorandum of understanding between the Pennsylvania State Police and Berry Latrobe School District. Why do we need a memorandum of understanding? Aren't they supposed to respond to?
No, the state requires us to have this as a part of our Safe Schools report. Basically, what it is an understanding between the school district and the state police of the types of things we have to report to them, the things that we have discretion to report, and how they'll handle those reports from us. But the state actually requires us to have this on hand as a part of our Safe Schools report.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Dr. Zorch. The Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, on your agenda next week will be a resolution to authorize the WIU access billing services for 2013-2014 school year. And there is a handout on that, if it's something you do. And we did have our meeting on we have a meeting early in August because of the hires needed to be completed before the school year begins. But I don't think you probably have the minutes for that. Probably have those next week. Okay, that's all I have. An EWCTC Joint Operating Committee, Mrs. Kozar. Thank you, Mrs. Kozar. Board Policy, PSB Liaison, Mrs. Elder.
Yes, I don't know whether anybody is planning to go to the PSBA convention in October. I'm not, but if anyone is, they have changed how things are going to be done, and they're going to have the Legislative Policy Council as part of the overall meeting of the body, as I understand it. They're going to have touch-tone voting for the Policy Council, so that will be condensed, I think. I haven't a handle on exactly how all the changes will be, but it's no longer going to be a kind of a go and be bored for most of the morning type thing. So if anyone is going, I think it would be a good thing if we could sign you up to be a part of the Legislative Policy Council and that new kind of format that they're putting together. So if you do want to go, please let Connie know as soon as possible for any period of time, whether it's for 1 day or 2 days or whatever. Thanks.
Thank you. Transportation, Dr. Moffat.
We have handouts for the drivers for our buses from both DMJ and Myers. Mark, we have to talk to Lisa about getting the first names.
Okay.
I just see last names in the spreadsheet.
No, there's first names.
For DMJ.
Oh, for DMJ, I don't know, I looked at it, I'm sorry.
Myers has first names, DMJ just has last name.
Yeah, and they'll be in my meeting.
I didn't know if it was my
No,
technical ability, I could spreadsheet of it, but I don't think they're there.
not in her spreadsheet, but they'll be in the manual. She'll have to make a phone call.
Okay, yeah, we need that. We need
Yeah.
first name.
That's not a problem.
Also in your computers in the handout from last meeting. And the next committee meeting is next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Senior High School.
Thank you, Dr. Moffat. Technology, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Madam President. No report tonight, however, there is a meeting on Tuesday, September 10th, here at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Superintendent's recommendations, Mrs. Blair.
First, next week, there are some resignations listed on your agenda for your review. There's 8 total, from a teacher, an elementary teacher, to some support services types of positions. In addition, next week, we will have some substitute teacher recommendations, as well as some classified recommendations, some that are listed there already. The assistant tennis coach, teaching assistants, classroom assistants, and so on will all be listed on your agenda next week for hire. As well, next week we would ask that you approve the security police for the 2013-14 school year. This is an annual agenda item. These security police provide detail at most of our activities, football, basketball games, etc. We would also ask that you approve the professional substitute rate as noted in letter E. And if you look, it does not change from last year. Last year we made the change whereby if I am a substitute in the district, those days that I served the district the previous year, if I continue that service, that is counted into my pay range, so I don't start back at the beginning. So that's letter E. And then in addition, there is quite a list of dates, if you'd like to put those in your calendar, for the 3 elementary schools as far as their open houses and et cetera, for the 3 buildings, Latrobe Elementary School, Bagley, and Mountain View, as well as the junior and senior high orientations this week. Those dates aren't here, but they're the 14th and 15th this week, as well as the October dates, as well as the board meeting dates for September and October, and the rest of the year are noted there.
Well, the ones in yellow indicate a change, so make sure you note that. And particularly, the regular meeting in October is on Monday. Yeah, make sure you see that. Any other business to come before this evening?
I'd just like to say, this seems to be working better, the handouts. Last time we used it, it was hard to get everything to come up. So I went handouts before the meeting started. I don't know how they work for everybody else, but they work fine for me. Thanks.
Thank you.